It's another edition of Pens Down. This is where we talk about the journalism journeys of the pen men and women who go about looking for news and get to you with the breaking news, the sports stories, and everything in between. Today, I have been joined by the Northern Regional Correspondent of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. He's the one who anchors news reports for their radio, TV, and online platforms. He has over 15 years experience as a journalist and has had stints with the New Times Corporation, DW Radio, and the Discovery Channel. In the year 2012, he covered the US presidential debate between then President Barack Obama and Republican candidate Mitt Romney before following both candidates on their campaign trails across some key states in the United States. In 2011, he covered the Conference of Parties of the United Nations, COP17, in Durban, South Africa. He is one of few journalists in Ghana who have had the privilege of interviewing a certain president. He is well-traveled and speaks 8 languages effortlessly. My guest today is Murtala Issah. You're welcome, my brother.
Thank you very much, Steve. Good to see you.
Very well, yes, and Happy New Year to you.
Same to you, my
You
brother.
are the undisputed king of the savannah when it comes to news and dropping all the bombshells and other exciting stories that come from the north.
And
how
all
is
the
the home front?
everything is fine in Tamale.
Right.
We are just coming from Lamashegu where there's been some trouble since yesterday where the police clashed with some residents. Unfortunately, we've lost a young man who is just waiting for his results to enter senior high school. We've lost him. About 7 other persons are injured, but calm has returned to Lamashegu and the Tamale metropolis.
All right. I want to take you about 8 hours flight away from Ghana before we come down here to talk about what is at home. The U.S. opportunity where you had you joined the campaign trail of President Barack Obama and that of his opposite number. How did that opportunity come about? Take us through that journey.
It's still like a dream. I remember clearly that day. I had to pinch myself several times to be sure that I was in real. This was happening for real. You know, the U.S. embassy across the world.
Yes.
They identify potential. They identify journalists, media practitioners, and they support them in some of their activities. So I happen to be one of those who was identified with that potential and the capacity to cover political programs. As a matter of fact, they had to go through your profile, observe your work, go through a rigorous selection process with the other journalists. I remember in that year, January to December, we were lined up. There was somebody from the Ghana News Agency, Cecil Obudaya from GBC, that's Unique Radio. I remember Israel Lai of Joy FM. When I returned to Ghana, Israel Lai went in to cover the main election. I was there for the first presidential debate on 3rd October in Denver, Colorado. So there were a number of us who were scattered across the months in the build up to the election and then to the election proper. I was just fortunate. I went through the selection process. I got selected, and then the opportunity came. We were traveling to the United States of America.
This is beautiful. Now tell me.
Coincidentally, they were looking at our stories, and the story that gave me that nod was a story I did in far away. A small community in Bunkpurugu Yunyu, which is far away. For those of you who are in Accra, when you hear Bunkpurugu, you are almost outside of Ghana. And I did a story from that community with there's a signboard as you are entering the community. It was a campaign. Remember, Ghana, US, we always elect our presidents in the same year.
That's right.
So entering that community, I saw this signboard: no electricity, no votes. So I entered the community to find out what exactly do these guys mean by no electricity, no vote. So I built my story around this. I interviewed the chief. I had a vox pop in town, and it became a big story in Ghana. I think this is what gave me the nod. Though Bunkrugu, this small community under Bunkrugu Yoyo, it gave me a very big platform. I ended up in big America. Yeah.
Now tell me, you have the benefit of seeing elections conducted between two different worlds. What is the comparative analysis or the comparative experience for you?
On election day in Tamale, in fact, in Tamale, I've covered 2008 elections. I've covered the 2012 elections. I've covered the 2016 and the 2020 elections. What I usually do on the eve of elections in Ghana is to liaise with the police, NCCE, the security NGOs we have in town, such as the WASI and other organizations to find out. So what intel are you picking on the ground in terms of security ahead of the election? Because we often have very explosive situations. In the northern region, for example, we have over 300 flashpoints in the northern region. And being the main anchor for Ghana Television, Radio Ghana, and GBC Online, I am always on high alert. We are not just covering the voting process. We look beyond that. In fact, a lot of times, issues of violence, issues of intimidation occupy most of our work ahead of elections. But in the US, you had a very free day. Everything was calm. I quite remember that on the day of the debate, we were at University of Denver, and we had Republicans as well as Democrats all together. They were all shouting and making their voice heard. At the end of the day, they joined to share biscuits and tea and cakes together, and it was beautiful. I interviewed a group of campaigners. Some were pro-abortion, some were against anti-abortion, LGBTQ plus issues, and they were all together on the same field, everybody trying to get their voice heard without any violence. But unfortunately, in our part of the world, I've personally even suffered some of this. I've received a few slaps before whilst covering election.
Would that make for one of the hazards of the profession? Or that's an extreme reality?
Definitely. I was beaten strip naked, and my camera was even broken. In fact, at one point, I was threatened to be sent to court. And that's Aremia intervened. And the Media Foundation for West Africa, they intervened. Professor Kakari, thank you if you are watching this. And that's Aremia, Suleiman Brahma. They intervened.
Why are you still in journalism despite all these clear and present dangers in your way?
Steve, I love this job. You have been in journalism before, and you know very well journalism doesn't pay in terms of salary very much in Ghana. But there's something about this. In fact, my colleague just asked me the same question in this studio I'm sitting right now before exiting to allow me take part in this Zoom meeting. He says, look, I watched you yesterday, the police, I could hear gunshots. You were there reporting. What drives you? I said, well, I just enjoy being out there and telling the story. I think this is something I picked from childhood, from primary school, whatever gossip was going on in the community. It's a very small community. Then Volta, now Oti region, called Menusu. It's a border town, a border in Togo, and then on my side of the country, Ghana. All the gossip. If you wanted to hear what was happening around the district, if you come to Murtala, I think you are sorted. And that passion has always been there. I do it for nothing. And so to be with GBC, and at the end of the month, something comes into your account in the name of the salary. The salary is the bonus. I just love to do what I'm doing. I enjoy it.
Wow.
Despite the hazards.
Let's go back to your time at Ghana Institute of Journalism, where you received formal training to be baked as a journalist, so you know how to hold the pen, when to hold it, and when not to write.
Yeah.
how was the experience? What was the training in journalism like for you?
Yeah, GIJ was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. Anytime I sit back and look at the pictures, it's so beautiful. It's so surreal. I remember when I was called for, I was shortlisted for interview. I couldn't sleep for 3 days. I could not sleep. In fact, I fell sick on the eve of my interview because of anxiety. I was anticipating. I didn't want anything to happen to prevent me from entering GI. And finally, when I entered the school, it was awesome. And we had teachers who were so down to earth and ready to help you. I remember Mr. Antonio Sekojo, who was teaching us political science. I remember him because he was the first person to push us to write our first story. So my first line in the Insight newspaper, that was my first ever published story. I was pushed by Mr. Antonio Sekojo, who was teaching us political science, because it was an assignment every student must get. I think you should remember this.
I remember it very well.
Must get a story published. And Steve, when I saw my story in the Insight, this was a professionally arranged gossip. It was beyond the usual I used to do back in the village in Benusu. Now a newspaper has published with my name on it. I held the newspaper like this. I was living in Boche, Ashale Boche, with my sister. I read the article over and over and over again until I presented it to my sister. That evening, I don't remember eating because I was full. I was satisfied. And beyond then, there were a lot of other lecturers who were so good. There's this one, Mr. Bwedi, we used to call him the Beto. They were all good. So good teachers.
If I'm talking about your first byline, I got mine in the evening news. And I remember that day I bought 5 copies of that paper.
What
5 good copies. I bought 5 good copies of that paper.
Yeah.
And when I sat in the trotro on my way home from school, the next person to me, I was reading it in such a way that the person would see and ask me something that, why? Is there something about you in the paper? That was how the excitement was. So I can relate very well.
Yeah.
You have been with Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Is it since internship or national service? When did you get there?
So I moved to Tamale to do my national service after school in 2006. I think I reported in Tamale on the 15th of November 2006.
Okay.
And I was brought straight to the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. I started as a news reader. There was shortage of personnel, serious shortage. In fact, for my national service, I was posted to the Ghana News Agency. Unfortunately, when I got here, our old man, Paula Chonga, was already at Ghana News Agency. And they said the office was too small. They couldn't contain 2 national service personnel. So I needed to look for another place. I came to Ghana Broadcasting and I said, well, I'm from GIJ. I'm looking for a place to do my national service quickly. There was a serious shortage of personnel at Radio Savannah. So they quickly gave me a letter accepting me. So I sent this back to the National Service Secretariat, and then I was posted here. I think the 3rd day I was on air reading the regional bulletin.
You as a national service person, you reported, and 3 days later you were reading news?
I was on air reading the regional bulletin.
Before working to GBC, did you have any experience with any broadcast?
I have never been in any studio. In fact, when we were in GIJ, there were a few of us, myself and 2 other colleagues who were called distance students. We were not so for some due to some circumstances, there were certain extra curricular activities we couldn't partake. We couldn't visit GBC and other broadcasting houses. My attachment was with the Ghanaian Times. Again, my second attachment was with the Ghanaian Times because I thought that this was a place where I could learn to write. So I had never experienced any studio situation. But I got to Radio Savannah. there was one Alhaji Suleiman Zakari who took me into the studio, auditioned me, and said, "Well, your voice is good enough for on air." So the next day, they gave me a script to read off air. By the third day, I saw my name on the list. They said 7:30 p.m. You are reading the English news, and that's it.
What drives you? What drives you in this profession? What drives you?
I think it's like I said, it's something intrinsic. It's something I cannot explain. There's that joy that comes when I'm out there. When I sit behind the microphone, I hosted the morning show on Radio Savannah for I think 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, before moving full time into reporting. During that period, if you were anywhere in the northern region and you wanted to listen to political talk show in Tamale, I think that there was no what was the name show that beat that of a general. That's how I became known as the general. So we hosted political shows. I hosted all sort of political leaders, PENSDOWN, Dr. Abu Sakara, all these candidates, John Mahama, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
In fact, I'll be coming to that. Which of the certain presidents did you interview?
I interviewed John Dramani Mahama.
How did it happen? When was that?
So that was in 2016. John Mahama was campaigning.
2016, okay.
2016. This his accounting to the people tour. He was touching base with all the regions. And so I was at home. Coincidentally, that day I was running diarrhea. So I left office, went home to find a way of stabilizing myself and getting some fluid into my system. My director called me and said, "Look, there's a call from Accra that we are interviewing John Mahama, and so they have asked that I direct you to interview him." I said, "I've never done this before. A sitting president." They said, "Well," so I wanted to protest. Then my acting director, General Francisco Oduntum, called and said, "Look, you either go out there and interview the man or consider yourself fired." It was a joke like anyway, but he had so much faith in me. And so I had to go out there and find a way of encouraging myself. My diarrhea vanished all of a sudden.
Wow.
And that very evening, we went to the regional coordinating council with my director, Mr. Bukari Al Hassan. Wherever you are, I say thank you. And we went to the RCC to meet John Mahama. I couldn't believe it. I was standing face to face
with a certain president.
And he was so calm, and so he even put his hands on my shoulders. I still have pictures that you can't believe. And John Mahama speaks Hausa. So he put aside English and went in. He became like a buddy, a friend, and wanted to know about my life. And for me, that brought my confidence up. All the anxieties and fears that I had suddenly vanished. And by the following day, early in the morning, when we went on air, I was very cool. It was like I was sitting down and chatting with a friend. Yeah.
Would you describe that as one of the highest moments or one of the highest moments in your career?
I think so. Obviously, this should be one of the highest moments in my career, possibly the highest moment in my career, because it is a dream of every journalist that to have that encounter. It is not standing in the crowd and asking one question. I had an hour and a half sitting with the president, a privilege to sit down.
No, you mean the certain president who is busy managing the country and all the trouble that are in. Spent 1.5 hours in your studio,
in my
and you were the man who was saddled with throwing questions at him.
Exactly, with my director sitting to my left and producing me. It was awesome. Still unbelievable. I came face to face with President Barack Obama on a campaign trail. I was just about some 150 meters from President Barack Obama. It felt so good. I have been with Black Eyed Peas, Will I Am, for example. I have a sitting president is top notch. It's the best so far. Yeah.
Wow. Let me ask you this. What is the most difficult assignment you've had to cover? The most difficult?
The most difficult assignment? You remember in 2018, thereabouts, when
Yes.
Nanado took over power,
Mm-hmm.
he set out to
Mm.
resolve the Dagbon chieftaincy issue once and for all.
That's right.
A sitting chief,
Mm.
king of Dagbon, was beheaded in 2002. And that
Yes.
divided the kingdom into two, Abudu
Mm.
and Dani. For
Yeah.
a long time, nobody could resolve this. Then
Mm.
Nanado comes, he says, look, I want to get this addressed.
Mm.
And at the center of this was
Mm.
Ghana Broadcasting Corporation,
Mm.
who must find a way of rallying the people through their medium
Mm.
to listen and speak one voice and
Mm.
together chart a new path for Dagbon. I led this whole assignment, covering for Ghana Television, Radio Ghana, and then GBC Online. I say it is the most difficult because on one occasion, Bewa Palace, I was wearing my Lacoste with GBC logo on it, and they didn't want to see the media. So we went to the palace wearing this. Unfortunately, they fished us out and chased us out of the palace. I had to wear a singlet. Again, within that same period, a Friday, we were to go to Yendi to witness the performance of the funeral of the Yana, Yakubu, and Dani. We were given intel that, look, there's going to be war in Yendi. So I decided to leave my camera crew, everyone behind. I refused to tell my wife. The only person who knew I was heading to Yendi was my then regional director, Mr. Al Hassan. I told him, I said, in case something happens to me, just know I'm going to Yendi. So please, I cannot avoid observing this and giving my report. Every journalist in town said they were not going to Yendi. But when I got to Yendi, when the whole thing, there was a strike, I got to know that there were over 20 journalists who had individually found their way to Yendi in the name of trying to be the only person to see what was going to happen and then reporting. So everybody defied that. I went with a reporter from Reuters who had come all the way from Accra, and then Ghanaian Times photographer Geoffrey Buta. There was a hired vehicle. When we got to the Bewa Palace, we parked facing Tamale, and we gave each other 5 minutes. We said, look, we know there's going to be trouble. The intel was very good. They said there's going to be trouble after Friday prayers. So we were facing town. We said, look, when the first gunshot sound, please, let's give each other 5 minutes to get to this vehicle and take off outside of Yendi, because when it happens that way, there is nowhere in Yendi that will be safe. So we all agreed. When we got there, they were dancing, drumming, the funeral was going on. So I used my phone to take shots, cut away. And then I called my boss, Akushika Akwe, in Accra. And I said, look, boss, I'm in Yendi. This is say, hey, how did you get there? I said, well, let's just do the story. Let's talk about how I got here later. So I sent the questions. 2 o'clock, I was the first. My report was the first report. So because of the gunshots, musketries, and others, I had to move into the van that brought us to block out all the noise. So I was sitting in the car reporting on phone. Then suddenly, to my immediate left, they started burning a house right in front of me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Things were that volatile.
Volatile. Just right in front of me. The driver was standing by the car watching, and it was like a dream. Then they started firing. Everywhere became smoky. So I cut the call because I didn't want my report going on air, anybody hearing the gunshot that were going on. I cut the line and switched off my phone immediately. I opened the driver's door and I said, please come inside. Then it was like I woke him from a dream. He entered and put on his ignition, was about driving off. I said, look, remember we said 5 minutes. Let's wait for them. We waited for them 5 minutes. They were not coming. So we had to drive off. On our way out of PND, we realized that ahead of us, there were gunshots. They had blocked the road and they were shooting, and people were menacing with their machetes. Fortunately, we're not far from the district police headquarters. So we took refuge at the police headquarters. But then we realized that we were in serious trouble.
This
See,
thing you describe is
yeah.
like a war zone reality that you are.
In fact, it was a war zone. It was a war zone. Many people lost their lives that day. We saw blood. It was then we all realized that journalists from TV3, from Metro TV, from Graphic, from Joy, had all found their way into Yendi. So along the line, I switched my phone off. I switched on my phone. Then Geoffrey Buta called me
Yes.
and said, look, I am holed up with the military in front of the palace. There are these sandbags that they use to protect themselves. So I am
That's
holed
right.
in
Yeah.
here with 10 other journalists. So where are you? I said, I'm at the police station. So I said, okay, where you are not very safe. So the police commander happened to come to the police station, the police district police headquarters. So I pleaded with him. I said, look, my colleagues are holed up at this point. There's an armored vehicle. If you could help me rescue them. So they accepted, but then insisted that we don't know your colleagues. We don't want
That's
any
right.
stranger joining
Yeah.
us. So I had to follow them and identify these colleagues who were holed up. And then after that, others got to know that I posted on social media, say, look, I'm in Yendi, there's trouble. If you're a journalist and you are around, please just call me and tell me your location. So we had to roam through Yendi, myself, Buta, and a few other journalists who were with the military in that hole. And we went around the metropolis, the municipality, picking journalists from one point to the other. For me, this was the most difficult assignment I have ever covered because we saw death, we saw gunfire, and we were just caught up. There was
Personally,
nothing.
I'm even Goose pimples listening to this account.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so real and so gripping.
yeah.
But tell me, when you were going, you said you didn't even tell your wife. That means you behaved like some Navy SEAL soldier who is going on a deadly mission that he's not sure whether he's coming back.
Unfortunately, we had the intel that there was going to be trouble. Of course, I never in my mind thought that I was going to die in the end. But you tell your wife and she becomes anxious. Sometimes the words that will come out of her gets your mind. You may be there, but your heart, your soul is back home.
And she may also be calling from time to
She
time
may
to check
also
on
be
you.
calling from time to time. She may be anxious. So I kept them out of that anxiety. It was my director I put under pressure. He insisted I shouldn't go, but I said I needed to tell this story. So we had to
have
go.
you narrated what you went through to your wife after you returned?
We did. She was angry with me, but then later said, "Well, this is part of what you have chosen to do, and I support you all the time. Just be safe out there anytime you are out doing your job. We love you." So it was difficult for her. But
is there a history of journalism in your family? Is there anybody
no,
distant or immediate?
no, not at all. In fact, there's another dimension. Let me tell you. First, ever to cross senior high school in my family. So you can understand that that level. No, no. I'm the 15th child of my father. My father has brothers, older and younger ones. They have children. So I have brothers from my uncles and the rest. I'm the first to cross senior high school into a tertiary institution. So when it comes to this
The first to
dimension,
cross senior high school.
yeah.
Tell me, what challenges did you go through to educate yourself through Ghana Institute of Journalism?
Steve, you are digging up. Okay, so Steve, before I even went to the Ghana Institute of Journalism, life was quite tough. So I set off to go to Europe.
You set off to go to Europe?
Yes, through the Sahara Desert. I had come out of secondary school. Again, I read science in senior high school. I didn't do general arts. I failed chemistry. Something said go to the training college because with 2 electives and all the core subjects, you could comfortably go to the training college. Then I decided against college because I got to Accra and boys in the Zongo, there's an opportunity through the Sahara Desert, Mali, and then to Morocco, Tangiers, and then we crossed in fact, they spoke like when you get to Tangiers to Spain, they say you can just see the light. It sounded like Shangri-La and then Airport Junction. It sounded like Shangri-La or Hotel de Wawa and then Airport Junction.
Or Accra Mall, something like that.
Or Accra Mall. So I joined this bandwagon. We're going. Before then, I had met with this Libyan diplomat, Umar Salem, of blessed memory, may his soul rest in peace, who helped me to register and write my chemistry before I took off. Unfortunately, some way, somehow, I didn't go through Mali. I ended up in Nigeria. I had a job with the Lebanese, and I decided, okay, why not make some money before proceeding to the north and then into Mali before proceeding to Agadez and then the rest. I said, okay. So I stayed in Nigeria. While there, I got a call from an uncle and said, look, your chemistry result is out fast. So why not come back? And you have been dreaming of becoming a journalist. Come and apply. So I came back to Accra. I applied to go to GID. Went back to Nigeria. While there, I got an email that I was selected, shortlisted for interview. So I packed my bag and everything and returned to Accra to come and take part in this selection interview. And that's why I was telling you for 3 days I could have not sleep the anxiety. Yes, I finally had admission to GID, but to pay my fees, admission fee was in itself a major challenge. Fortunately, my sister was able to raise some funds and support me. I paid through. And then to keep body and soul together, to go through GID for 2 years, I had to do driver mates for 2 years.
You mean you were trotro mate? That is a bus conductor.
A bus conductor
for
in
2
Accra.
years while a student at Ghana Institute of Journalism.
Institute of Journalism. I was telling you, for some reasons, there were some 2-3 of us on campus. There were a few of you who knew that these guys were real hustlers. But majority didn't know what was going on. I was a bus conductor.
At what time were you? Wow. Please go ahead.
So Friday afternoon after school. Sometimes I didn't take part in the afternoon lectures. I left to go and do my work. I'll work across Accra, sometimes Eastern, Central, and the nearby regions to Accra. So we worked all the way till Sunday around midnight. Then
how did you get that trotro to become a mate? Who was the driver?
So my brother, I have this brother in Accra who had a trotro vehicle. So I approached him and I said, look, things are difficult. I don't want to sit down and burden you guys. So if you can help me. So he accepted me to do this. On occasions that the car breaks down, I was on the field doing concrete work. And so we had to find a way to put body and soul together. See?
This is the life of a fighter.
Not the Ghanaian fighter who has just been arrested.
This is now. So
but I was born into a very challenging family. My father wasn't poor, but I think he was overwhelmed with the number of children and the other extended family members who were living with him. I remember we were over 25 in one household under the care of one man. So things were quite difficult. And being one of the youngest, in my father's line, I'm the 15th. In my mother's line, I think I am number 5 or 6. And so you don't get that attention. You have to fight to get attention. So possibly it's one of the traits that I picked up from the family, that you are just down. I'm not the last born. I'm not the first child. So there's no attention on you. You have to fight to be seen. You have to fight to get attention. You have to fight to get everything. Even in primary and junior high school, I remember when they sacked us from school because of non-payment of school fees. They started paying the elders. And by the time they get to me, I would have done like 2-3 weeks staying at home. But you know, I have this gift. If I attend school for 1 week, it suffices for the whole term. And
really?
if I didn't have the opportunity of having notebooks too. So my friends who could copy notes, if I'm stuck from school, all I needed was for you to give me your notebook for just one night. All I need is one night. once I get hold of your notebook for one night, I am fine. I'll even do better than you. That's the gift. I remember there was this friend of mine, Baki, also of blessed memory. He had everything. He had all the books that were required, all the notebooks. He copied copiously, but Baki didn't have that time to read.
Okay.
I will go and borrow his notebooks. I will borrow social studies, read for one night, give it to him, take a Greek, read for one night, give it to him, borrow science, read for one night. And for the whole term, that is all I read. But when results come out, I will still be far ahead of Baki, and the mother will get angry. I said, well, unfortunately, maybe he has everything, so he doesn't even appreciate what he has. So I've had quite a challenging, but
Yeah.
generally life is good.
So with this challenging background, having become a journalist, tell me, upon stepping on the soil of the United States for the very first time, when you entered your hotel room or wherever you were checked in to lodge, how did things seem to you? I mean, did you tell yourself something that I can't believe I am here? Is this happening to me? How was it?
Steve, it's still unbelievable, even today. I remember recently I posted a picture of me with Barack Obama in the background. And somebody was like, "No, this is not real." It took a Guinean journalist who was with me that day to come and confirm that indeed I was there when he took this picture. It's still unreal. If you look into my face carefully, you still see, the hustling face. There's a permanent
scar of hustling.
Of hustling. Bob Marley will say, if you look at his brow, you notice that he's been lying on rocks for a very long time, even though he's no more lying on rocks. But that's the sort of feeling. It was surreal. It was like a dream. You couldn't believe it. And suddenly, I'm not just in the United States. I remember from Menes to KJB, you boarded Trotro to get to KJB. It's about 15 minutes drive then. Now, because the road is good, you do about 5 minutes from Menes to get to KJB. And to enter a vehicle was something that it was a dream for every boy, because you could go for 3 years, you have never sat in, you not sitting in a car.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, from this background, I am flying 10 hours, Kotoka to Schiphol in Holland, then to Washington, Dallas Airport. Then I'm in the States, flying to Denver, flying to Atlanta, and it's unbelievable. You can't describe this feeling.
Yeah.
So when I entered my room, the first thing I did was to prostrate and say, express my gratitude to the Maker for bringing me this far, because for me, that was a huge accomplishment. My friends back home were sending messages from on social media, just telling me that, look, you have inspired us and we believe what you have achieved is possible for all of us. Now, let me tell you this. When we got to Washington, it was about 7 p.m. And I met this Senegalese guy at the counter, the check-in at my hotel. And he gave me the map of Washington and said, look, the White House is about 15 minutes walk from this hotel on this street.
Wow.
You can go there tomorrow. I said, me, wait till tomorrow. What if I suddenly wake up and this is a dream? What if I wake up suddenly and it's a dream? No, I'm not sleeping. So I told, there was a guy from Nigeria, there was this other guy from Haiti. I told them, I said, we are not far from the White House. It's a 15 minutes walk. I am going, whoever is following me, so they all joined. The entire team joined me. So my pictures from the White House are all were taken in the night. If I post them now, they were taken in the night because I couldn't wait. I didn't want to go back to bed, sleep, and wake up, and I'm in Ghana. I didn't want to take chances. So I ended up at the White House, and it was unbelievable.
The strongest evidence of the kind of professional you have evolved into was when I heard your name as the main commentator on GTV during the installation of the new Yana.
Exactly.
That, I mean, did you know how many days before that did you get to know that you were the one who was going to anchor such a national event and a historic one for that matter?
Okay. So I must thank, first of all, my bosses in Tamale, in Accra, and I think now the entire country, because in every region, I think somehow GBC staff tend to think that Murtala has some magic. They trust me so much, even though it is looking up to them that gives me that confidence.
Yeah.
My first experience commenting on radio. Hi Moment comes here, and you notice that on our activities on social media that we are almost like brothers.
Yes.
Hayu does this, Selikem Akolache, they do this commentary, and we are very close. Selikem, like it's like a sister to me. I follow them carefully and I observe. I told you, me, if I spend 5 minutes with you, I can steal 1 year of your talent. That is my nature. So I kept on observing them until the late former Vice President Alhaji Aliyu Mahama passed away, and GTV was to broadcast live her funeral, his funeral. Unfortunately, Hayi Mumin, who was supposed to come before then, anytime there was a national event anywhere in the north, they brought commentators from Accra to come and run this.
Okay.
So Hayi Mumin, who was supposed to come, missed flight. The crew were here, and they were just panning and shooting. Everything was on TV, but there was no voice attached to this. So if you were to tune in, you wouldn't know whether it was a funeral, a Valentine's Day celebration, or whatever was going on. I picked my bicycle and I rushed there. When I got there, I said, look, I want to run comment. And they said, who assigned you? I said, nobody. I've just assigned myself. Who are you? I mentioned my name. They said, no, we don't know you. I said, well, I am in the Tamale office and I want to do this. It is better than what is going on air right now. So there was an argument between the crew. One of them said, well, I know this guy, but I've never seen him running commentary. An old man, among, I think he was the team leader, said, well, it is better. Whatever he's going to do should be better than this blank thing that is going on where you just have videos, you don't know what is going on. So, but they warned me that I should be careful in case there's any trouble with my commentary. I should be prepared to answer, and they are not going to support me in any way. I said, no problem, connect. So they connected the microphone.
Which event was this?
So Alhaji Aliyu Mahama's funeral. The late Alhaji, Vice President. So I started running commentary. I started slowly, but then suddenly, so they connected the microphones. I started running commentary. I started slowly. I was a bit anxious. This is my first time. I was just playing High Moment Selikem Makoleche in my mind whilst doing this. Suddenly, I got a text message from Akushika Akwe. She said, thumbs up. You have just saved us. I was like, Akushika sending me a message telling me thumbs up. My confidence shot through the roof. And suddenly, I think my voice, my vocal cords opened up. I became more eloquent. And I could suddenly see other things to talk about in my commentary. My regional director then, Mr. James Adiaba, packed fruit juice. He was so excited about what happened. He packed fruit juice and came there. It's like, I wanted to come and see that it's you running commentary. Why have you been hiding? I said, I'm not hiding. I've never done it. This is my first time. He said, oh, boy. I deliberately don't want to run commentary. I said, no, it's my first time. So then 2 weeks later, there was the National Festival of Arts and Culture.
Okay.
Then they called from Accra. They said, look, we are sending the local language commentators, Hausa, Ewe, Gan, Nsima, and the rest. But for English, Murtala, take charge in Tamale. Then came May Day in Wa. They sent all other language commentators. And then they sent everybody to Wa. They said, Murtala, go there and handle English. Suddenly, Selikem, High Moment from the back, sending me messages, encouraging. Another senior persons I have at GBC, TTK, Turkey Chair, and all those guys calling behind the scenes, William Hine calling behind the scenes and telling you, look, you are doing a great job. Keep it up. I think this boosted my confidence. So when the Yana thing finally happened, I was scared. But the rest of them had no doubt in their mind that, look, you are the one going to lead this team. And they allowed us. I wasn't there alone. The interesting part is that day, they brought a crew from Accra. Okay. But there was no single commentator that was brought from Accra. It was all locally. I was not just running commentary. I was also coordinating my team here. There was Bakwa Hassan, who, if you remember, there was this guy who was giving us all the history, all the history about Dagbang,
the background and everything.
The background and everything. Bakwa Hassan, we call him Samatan Killer here, was born and bred here. He worked with GBT for so long. So I was with him there. There was Husseina Issah, who was also with us, supporting me with English. There was the Bambina also here. So it was just the team here who were taken to Yendi. And we blended so well. We were so comfortable with the technical team all the way from Accra. I had sat in the van before, and so I'm able to watch the screen and run commentary. So that made things more flexible for the rest who didn't have that experience. So I was running, asking the questions, coordinating my co-commentators, and with you guys out there sending text messages, social media messages, and the rest. Look, it was like we were all drunk on something special, and it made things so flexible and beautiful. Yes, that day we had over 1,000 producers. I mean,
that's right. That's right.
But there were people out there who were producing us.
I get you.
From all over the place. People sending in messages. It was so beautiful. And it tells you, if you do something that is nice, the public appreciates it. People were sending us history where we weren't getting things right. There were people who were behind the scenes sending messages and said, look, this is that, and that made the whole event so beautiful.
Wow. You left GIJ in 2006. Yeah. That is some 16 years ago, if I am right.
Yeah.
If we are to roll back the hands of time, some 17 years, would you still choose journalism?
Maybe if you go back to, I was born in 80, maybe if you go back to 1979. Maybe if you go back to 1979, before I was born, I'll still choose journalism. You see, what I do is basically it's just for me, it's just fun. It's a hobby. The salary that comes with it is a bonus, and I never get tired. I tell friends, I say, look, I've been a bus conductor before, and if ever I decide to put aside this job, I think the best job I will do other than journalism is to be a bus conductor. You may not understand it until you become a bus conductor. Steve, it is one of the loveliest jobs to do. Where else can you get free talk? Where else do you get to meet people from all backgrounds and all walks of life, if not journalism, if not as a bus conductor? So I'll choose this job over and over and over again. Yeah.
What has been the most enjoyable assignment? You've told me about the most difficult, but the most enjoyable assignment that has left lingering memories, which always brings smiles to your face.
Of course, that flight across the Atlantic. That flight across the Atlantic. It remains perhaps the most enjoyable assignments I have ever undertaken, because there were 23 journalists selected from across the globe, not Ghana, not Africa. And Murtala was among these 23 journalists. There were over 2,000 journalists covering the presidential debate. Murtala was among these 2,000 plus journalists covering the presidential debate involving no mean person than the president of the United States, President Barack Obama, and then Mitt Romney. It remains one of the most enjoyable thing I've ever done. To add an icing to the cake, the day after the debate, I followed Barack Obama to a campaign rally in town center Denver. I ended up at the News Museum in Washington again. I had the opportunity of seeing the history of news as it evolved in the United States. I came face to face with the pen. I saw the pen that was used by Gorbachev to sign the end of the Cold War. It's still somewhere in the News Museum. I saw a whole lot of things, and for me, that has left an indelible mark on me. I enjoyed that trip thoroughly.
This is exciting. There is a lot of attrition in journalism. So many trained, qualified professionals are abandoning their crafts. You are here 16 good years and you are still soldiering on. How many more years do you want to travel before you bow out and move away from the microphone or drop your pen?
That's a challenging one. It's a very tough question. Two of the people I look up to. One is Selikem Akolache. Selikem has dropped her pen.
Yes, I had a conversation with her.
Okay.
Very exciting conversation.
The second person has almost dropped his pen. You will get the bombshell very soon.
Wow.
I'm not about breaking that story
That's
here.
That's fine.
They have dropped their pen. I never expected this. Okay, but they are dropping their pen. But one thing you can be sure is that even though they are dropping, they are leaving the profession. It will be very difficult. Especially this one I don't want to mention, whose name I don't want to mention. It will be very, very difficult to put down the pen, because once you are born a writer, I think you die with it. Scribes never drop their pen. Even Selikem has not dropped her pen.
Oh yes, she's doing a lot of media work all over the place.
She has dropped her pen. Shamima went off. You see that she couldn't cut off the string.
Exactly. She's now much more involved, even continent-wide.
Exactly. Tekiche is retired, but
he's back to the lecture hall teaching would-be journalists.
Would be journalists. My boss, Sena Chikata, is sitting there. Ram Apple Money is there. You cannot walk away from this job. And so to drop pen, maybe who knows? If the UN comes calling, I cannot say no. I cannot say no. And so maybe then I may walk away from this field reporting. But to drop my pen, no, I don't think this will ever happen. The day you hear that I have dropped my pen, the Muslims will say, you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. It means that I am dead.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. This has been PENSDOWN. Murtala Issah. Always evergreen. I mean, since I have known him, but of course, some of the thoughts and ideas that have been shared here, for me, they are coming to me for the first time. So reflection that you get to hear from colleagues the kind of impact and journeys they have made. All this while I thought I knew him, but this conversation has brought me much closer to him and given me an inkling into some of the inner workings, the real, realities he's had to grapple with. It's been PENSDOWN, conversations with journalists. That's what we do here. I was honored today to have had the presence and the company of Murtala Issah. He is the Commander General, GBC up north. When you go to Northern Region, you don't mention his name, you've not stepped in GBC. He's the man who commands all his surveys up north. Thank you,
I've
my
been
brother, for
flying with
being.
guinea fowls for 6 years. So when guinea fowls flew into Burkina Faso, I flew in with them, I flew out with them, and I've flown back with them. So I'm here.
Thank you very much, my brother, for
Thank
this
you, Steve.
opportunity.
All the best. And
Great conversation we've had.
all
I'm
grace to
truly
your elbows.
grateful.
Yeah. Grateful.
Thank you for joining us. This has been
Thank
Pens Down. Here we talk the journeys of journalists, what they go through, the behind the scenes issues you'll never hear, although you get to enjoy the breaking news and all the others from them as they go about on the beat and searching for the news for you to consume. The next edition will have another person on the hot seats. Be with us and join us next time. Thank you.